Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who figure review. In today's Doctor Who figure review I'll be taking a look at the History of the Dalek set number 4, the Daleks Master Plan, containing the Supreme Dalek and the Pyro Flame Dalek. So the way this video is going to work is I'm going to do the packaging, articulation and detail, and do a comparison to the original Supreme Dalek and Pyro Flame Dalek. So without further ado, let's look at the packaging for this release. So taking a look at the packaging for the History of the Dalek set number 4, so we've got the standard style guide packaging, the great window box display displaying the figures there, the name of the set, the limited edition sticker, and of course the Daleks Master Plan 1965, 5+ character options. On the side we continue the same sort of style guide packaging motif there. On the back we have prototype images of the figures and a bio on the Daleks Master Plan and a bit of history on the Dalek props themselves and the other side of the box. And the card insert for this set is inside the Dalek time ship. So here we have the Daleks out of the packaging. Now this is a set what I can see many people wanting, because obviously the Supreme Dalek is a highly sought after figure because it was only released in the Toys R Us twin pack back in 2014, and the Pyro Flame Dalek is a good little army builder, and of course if people missed out on the enemies of the first Doctor set, they can get their hands on the Pyro Flame Dalek. So let's have a quick look at the articulation and then we'll go on to the detail for both Daleks and then do a comparison. So taking a look at the articulation for the Daleks, as the articulation is exactly the same for both Daleks. So the dome can do a full 360-degree turn. The eye stalk can move up and down, but on my Supreme Dalek the eye stalk is incredibly stiff. So we have ball jointed Pyro Flame arm, and of course ball jointed plunger and ball jointed gun as well. So we do have the Daleks on wheels so they can patrol around, give orders, and of course burn down the jungles of Kemble. So kicking off this review I'll be taking a look at the Pyro Flame Dalek. So if you picked up any of the other History of the Dalek sets and you've got the silver drone, then this has been given the more metallic silver paint finish, which I absolutely love. I really like the silver paint they use on the 60s Daleks. It just makes them really pop and stand out on the shelf. I just love the more shiny silver. The dome itself, again, like I said, has been given the nice metallic silver paint finish, which really does pop. And we have the sort of egg cup dome lights, which essentially is the Power of the Daleks dome, and obviously we have the correct sort of dome lights and of course the correct number of eye rings. As you can see, the eye rings themselves have been given this sort of pale blue, almost sort of a grey colour, which I believe is sort of accurate to how it appears in the show. The neck pin section, we've got the great sort of panel and grating effect there, which is done very well. Of course we have the addition of the slats there, continuing with the sort of mesh design and the nuts and bolts going all across the midsection of the Dalek. Now one thing to note with these History of the Dalek sets is that they've been given a sort of very light midsection. As you can see, if you picked up the Forbidden Planet Daleks, you'll know that the Dalek sort of midsection is very grey, and as you can see this is almost white, so a sort of a whitey grey colour, which I don't know how I feel. I've kind of got mixed feelings. It looks okay on its own, but when you put it with the other Daleks it does seem to stand out a little bit. Taking a look at the gun, so the gun has been given sort of a dullish grey finish to it compared to the sort of vibrant silver, and again we've got the sort of 3 rings there of the gun sort of mechanism, which is done very well. If we move to the actual Pyro Flame arm, again that is done very well. You can see you've got the different section detail, and we have the flame detailing there with sort of a bright sort of vibrant red moving to an orange, and of course it is removable, so you can remove the flame like so, and that just plugs into the Pyro Flame Dalek like so. So that is a great little inclusion, because I didn't expect them to include the flame, so it's nice for character options to include it. So moving down to the skirt section, we have the great sort of silver paint finish and the pale blue hemispheres, which I think is incorrect. I feel like the hemispheres should be a lot darker at this point, and if you've got the History of the Dalek set number 3, the Chase Drone Dalek figure does have the more darker hemispheres, which I think would be more in keeping with this sort of Dalek colour scheme. But overall I really do like it, and of course we do have the sort of skirt section there, which is done very well. So I really do like the updated Pyro Flame Dalek, especially with the dome and the metallic silver paint finish. It really does make this figure pop. So moving on to the comparison, so this is the enemies of the first Doctor one, and this is the latest B&M version. So straight off the bat you can notice obviously the colour difference. Obviously this B&M one being a lot more shiny, a lot more silver, which I genuinely prefer. I think that it just makes the figure stand out and pop a lot more compared to the less sort of shiny version of the Forbidden Planet one. So straight away the B&M one has the more accurate dome in terms of the egg cup dome lights, because I don't believe the sculpt existed when this figure was made, because it still uses the Dead Planet Dalek dome lights. And we have the correct number of eye rings there, this using the Dead Planet Dalek eye stalk there. Again, we have the sort of main difference obviously being the midsection, as you can see, being a lot more paler, which I personally prefer the midsection on this. I feel like it should be more of a duller, darker grey on it, but yeah, it still works okay. As for the sort of Pyro flame itself, this one has more of a, seems to be more sort of translucent, whereas this seems a little bit more transparent, so you can slightly see through it more, and has more of a gloss finish to it and is a bit more red, whereas this is sort of more orangey. And the hemispheres themselves seem a little bit more lighter on the B&M one, which seems a little bit odd, because I believe at this point the hemispheres were quite dark. Almost as dark as sort of the Power of the Dalek sort of hemisphere. So here we have the Supreme Dalek. So if we take a look at a closer look at it over detail, so taking a look at the dome, we have this great sort of matte black paint finish to it. We have the egg cup dome light, which is sort of a pale yellow, very much the same as the Pyro flame Dalek. We have the nice sort of black section there on the eye, and obviously the silver rod. And then we have these sort of pale blue eye rings, very much the same as the Pyro flame Dalek. But this Supreme Dalek has the smaller pupil, much like the Dead Planet Dalek, and sort of, I guess, becoming a customer of the History of the Dalek sets in the 60s ones to have a smaller pupil. So I guess it makes seem more of a variant if you have the original Supreme Dalek from the Toys R Us run. And again, we have the great sort of mesh section on the neck bin section. And of course, we do have the same sort of grating and mesh look and the nuts and bolts on the slats. And again, we have the sort of very sort of whitish grey midsection. Like I said, I'm a little bit iffy on this. I don't know how I feel about it, but it looks okay, but I feel like it should be a little bit darker, personally. I think that, but obviously if you have the Toys R Us one like me, I guess it just makes it seem to stand out a little bit more, and I guess it does stand out very much compared to sort of the black and blue paint apps for this Dalek. So the plunger, very much the same sort of detail, slightly extended to give that sort of telescopic look to it, and a nice gloss finish to the plunger, and very much the same 60s Dalek gun. And the ball joints have been painted silver, and we have great paint apps on the skirt section there, no paint bleeds, with this nice crisp blue, and of course we have the nice sort of matte black paint finish. So yeah, very much the standard Dalek detailing. So let's look at the comparison of this Dalek. So moving on to the comparison of the Supreme Dalek. So this one is the Toys R Us one, and this is the B&M one. So if we move to the side, so the dome lights seem to be a bit more vibrant yellow compared to the B&M one, what sort of seem a little bit paler. The main difference you can notice on the dome is the eye stalk. As you can see, I believe that the Toys R Us one is a lot more accurate with obviously the paint apps on the eye compared to this one, and the eye rings being a lot more of a darker blue instead of this sort of palish grey blue colour to it. And of course the eye is obviously the full 60s Dalek eye, whereas this is the smaller pupil. I guess if you have the Toys R Us one, then it makes this seem a bit more of a variant really. So the midsection again contains that sort of more lighter finish to it, and the hemispheres seem a little bit lighter compared to the Toys R Us one really. So those are the differences. So that concludes my review of the History of the Dalek set number 4, the Daleks Master Plan. So what do I think of this set? Well, I think that it is a pretty good set. I think if you missed out on the Toys R Us Supreme Dalek, then this is definitely going to be a set you want to get to pick up the sort of iconic Supreme Dalek from the 60s. Though I would have loved them to have done the Mutations of Time Supreme Dalek, sort of the red and blue, much like on the Dalek Master Plan Target book cover. I would have absolutely loved that. Maybe do the Supreme, this Supreme Dalek in the Chase set, and then in the Dalek Master Plan set do the Mutations of Time Supreme variant. That would have been absolutely lovely. So both people, if you missed out on the black and blue Supreme, then you could pick it up in the Chase set, and then if you have the original one like me, then you could get the Mutations of Time version in the Daleks Master Plan set. But like I said, if you missed the Supreme Dalek in the Toys R Us set, then you know you're definitely going to want to pick up this set. And if you did get the Toys R Us one like me, and you're a bit of a sucker for variants, then you'll definitely want to get this because it is a slight variation on the Toys R Us one. The main reason I picked up this set was for the Pyro flame Dalek, because I would like a little Pyro flame Dalek army, so now I've got two. I'm quite content, and obviously they've modified it to have the correct dome light and sort of number of eye rings on it, which is very cool. So yeah, I do like it, and I do love this sort of new updated silver paint apps on it. Just makes the figure pop, but I'm still very unsure about the midsection, how to feel on it. I'm very sort of 50-50. Sometimes it looks okay for me, and when you put it with other Daleks, I'm a little bit iffy on it. You know, just looking at these two Daleks now, I think, yeah, it looks fine, but as soon as you put them with the other Daleks, they do seem to sort of stick out a little bit. So if you're like me and you're a bit of a sucker for a variant, bit of a pun there, I guess, then you'll definitely want to check out this set. But if you aren't too fussed on getting variants, then I can see this one being an easy pass in the revised B&M line. So thank you very much for watching this figure review. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next figure review, whatever that will be. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.